Welcome from the deep. I am Mike the Finder.
And I am Book of Brett.
And you may be asking yourself, where have you been? Where have you? Shut up. We've been busy. It's fine. We're back now.
Stuff to do.
Yeah, it's fine. Get off our backs. Jeez.
Get more people to subscribe and we can put more time into this.
Yeah, you f***er. Why aren't you more people?
Yep, that is how we get more people. We accost the people who subscribe to us.
So yeah, we've both been super busy. I've been traveling a little bit. I got violently sick when I got back. Brett's been super fucking busy with work. It's just been a busy few months around here. We're going to try to start getting back to a regular schedule here.
I actually shot my third movie of the year 2 weeks ago.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons.
Like I said, it's been a busy few months for both of us. And this podcast has unfortunately kind of taken a back seat the last few months. But like I said, we're going to try to get back to a more regulated schedule here. So today we're a little bit late to this, but we thought what we do last week, it was announced from Best Buy that they are going to stop carrying physical movies. They're still going to be doing physical games, which is a little weird to me. Like, just fucking cut the cord. If you're going to do it, just do it. But I know a lot of console people don't feel that same way. So whatever.
And I feel, I don't know. Because I do real estate photography and videography, and I go into a lot of houses where I see consoles, but not a lot of games. And so I feel like games are a lot like movies, where the people that have physical copies of this stuff are the collectors, or like the hardcore collectors, and the people that enjoy having the physical media. Yeah. The only difference is I don't feel like you get a drastic quality difference with video games, i.e. physical versus online, like you do with streaming movies versus physical movies.
Yeah, I think it's more for video games. I think it's more about owning the thing that you bought more than the actual quality being better when you own physical media. Right. Today on X, I saw somebody complaining that Allan Wake 2 is digital only, so they won't be buying it. And I had the thought of like, oh, buddy, you're going to be missing out on just so many games in the future if you're running with that mindset. Like, I haven't personally bought a hardcore physical copy of a video game in probably 7 years at this point. But that's because I'm
mostly PC.
We're on PC, right? And it's been that way for over a decade. As far as PC goes, generally, because nobody has disk drives anymore. So when Best Buy announced this, I gotta say I wasn't that shocked at this news. And this video is actually going to be kind of a companion piece to a video that we made like last year, where we were talking about our Blu-rays and DVDs already dead. Because in that video, oddly enough, I think I'm wearing the same shirt in that video. That's a bit of a weird bummer. In that video, we were talking about how big box stores and physical media movies specifically were pretty much dead. And that was over a year ago.
And that was a big reason of why we wanted to do this, because this is something we kind of called in that video.
And if we want to go back even further to 2.5 years ago, is that Dear Blu-ray and DVD collectors video that I made on my channel that was essentially saying, hey, this is coming. And I got yelled at for 2.5 years that I was an idiot, and that people were telling me this isn't going to happen. It hasn't happened to the video game industry yet. Why would it happen to we called this, okay? And it's not, we're not Nostradamus. This is obvious shit if you think about it level-headedly. But like, I can't believe how many people on the internet were caught by surprise by this news.
Well, and again, I think it's because people didn't want it to happen, but I think the reason people were calling you out saying it's not going to happen is because, I don't know, maybe they thought you were just talking out your ass, but like, this is stuff we pay attention to. This is stuff that we actually go and look up and actually watch the trends on. And it was honestly just bound to happen eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not happy about it. I'm really upset that this is happening, but to me, I don't know if this is indicative of the industry as a whole, or if Best Buy is making a decision based off their personal sales. But either way, it's definitely a decision being made based on the trends as a whole. Like, I don't know people that buy a lot of movies. Like, I have maybe one or two people that I know that really, really like having physical copies.
Yeah.
And they all enjoy having physical copies, not just because it's a collector's item to them, but also because there is a genuine quality difference between streaming and physical media.
Well, and it's not just the quality difference, it's owning the shit that you put your money into, because
Right.
And this goes back to video games. Like on Steam, they can pull whatever game they want. And realistically, they don't have to tell you. And you can go to play Allan Wake one day, and this is a great example. Speaking of Allan Wake, Allan Wake got pulled off digital stores last year or something, because there were music issues, and the contracts on those music things ran out, and so they literally pulled Allan Wake 1 off of digital stores, and you couldn't buy it anymore. And they have every right to do that. You don't own the shit that you buy digitally. That's the biggest fucking problem with all of this. But like when we're talking about owning physical media, this is the reason this shit is important. And anybody that didn't see this coming has got their fucking head in the sand, and they're not paying attention to anything other than the one storefront they buy off the internet or something, because this has been a long time coming.
I think that's a big motivating factor behind this. I think it seems like most people don't care, but I think people don't care about the difference between streaming and physical media. I don't think most people see the difference between streaming and physical media, because I think most people watch so much streaming that they see the differences between streaming 1080 and 4K, but they don't see the difference between like streaming 4K and physical 4K.
Yeah. My girlfriend's like that. I put in a 4K disc, and she was like, that was an awful lot of work for it to look exactly the same. And I was like, it doesn't.
Right.
You just have to know the difference. Like, you just have to be able to like see the actual difference. And I don't think it's that most people can't see the difference. And we touched on this in that last video. Most people don't care. It's convenience over quality, which
100%.
is fine. And I said this last time, this is fucking ridiculous. The shit behind us, it takes up space. It takes up materials in the world. Like it's costly. It's a pain in the ass to move, like all of it.
It's a relative sense of convenience too. Like, as long as all the moving parts that get that movie from their servers to your TV are working properly, then yeah, it's super convenient. But what happens when the internet goes out? What happens when your TV won't connect to the internet? Like, there's a lot of different stuff there that it can very quickly become less convenient.
Yeah.
I had a really, really good example of the quality from streaming to physical media happen last night. I bought the 4K release of Nightmare Before Christmas that they just came out with. From what the guy told me, it just came out this week. Brittany and I watched that last night on a 4K disc, and the difference between the 4K streaming and the 4K Blu-ray disc was unbelievable. The sound was better. The video was better. Like, the visuals were better. Just everything about it was noticeably better. And this is something Brittany usually doesn't even notice. And it's not that she doesn't care about it, but she only cares about it so much because I've jammed the differences down her throat so much.
And we're autistic about it. Yeah.
And we're autistic about it. But even she noticed how much better the 4K disc was than it was streaming on Disney Plus.
Yeah. And I feel like streaming services have gotten to a point right now where they're all kind of realizing this isn't going to make us nearly as much money as we thought it was going to. It's the reason Netflix keeps raising their fucking prices. It's the reason all of these companies keep raising their prices. And eventually, we're going to get right back to having commercials on everything and still paying $110 for the month to be able to access this shit. And we're right back where we started with cable, except now it's delivered over the internet rather than some other way. So,
well, and you also have to have a multitude of subscriptions in order to access the shit you want to watch.
Exactly. I was in the middle of watching What We Do in the Shadows, and
The movie or the show?
The show. And I forgot that I had only paid for 1 month of Hulu and then canceled it. And so I was in the middle of watching that show and it's gone now. And I'm not until I feel the need to go back to Hulu. That is a show I am incapable of watching now. So
well, and Hulu is a great example of like you can pay for a subscription, but unless you're paying a certain amount, you're still getting commercials.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that drives me nuts about so many of these streaming services is what I'm paying you for is to not have the commercials. I mean, you're paying for access to the content, but you're also paying an amount to not have those commercials in there. Now, obviously, there's an argument there for, that's why there's different tiers of pricing and everything. You could also argue that with cable, you pay for cable and you still get commercials on there as well. But I would imagine they're making more money off of advertising than they are off of subscription services.
Yeah, by far.
If you're already making money off of advertising, why am I also giving you subscription money as well?
No, I totally agree. And if we look at this, even Netflix has just added a Netflix ad-supported plan so that you can pay just a little bit less and still get those sweet, sweet ads.
What's the difference between the non-ad tier and the ads tier?
You can expect to see an average of about 4 minutes of ads per hour. Okay, that's actually
not bad.
Not bad at all.
How
this
much
may
less
vary
is
based
it?
on the title. As far as money goes, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. If they were to come out with something that was like, go ahead.
Sorry. Standard with ads. Wait, why is this not telling me prices? Okay, standard with ads, $7 a month. That's surprisingly decent. And if it's true that it's only 4 minutes per hour, but this is how they get you. They're like, it's only 4 minutes an hour. And then a year and a half from now, it's 8 minutes per hour. Then standard without ads is $15.50 a month. And you can add extra member slots, which is like, family plan for $8 a month each. And the premium is $23 a month. So,
I mean, I don't have a huge issue with that simply because if you extrapolate that to all of your streaming services, like if you're saving, let's say with all the streaming services, you could save $7 a month. I have 5, or maybe more streaming services. That's $35 a month. That's hundreds of dollars a year that you're saving, and you get 4 minutes of ads. I don't personally have an issue with that. But like you said, it is opening the door to...
That's the problem with it, yeah.
It's opening the door to not only raising the prices in the future, which they're going to do, but it's also increasing the amount of ads that you're going to have per hour.
Well, because I think Netflix just announced another price increase. This was probably, this is from 2 days ago. Here comes another Netflix price hike. Subscribers to Netflix basic and premium plans will be paying more, with prices raising to $12 and $23 per month in the US. So
$23
here
a month
is the history of the Netflix price increases. And when we really fucking look at this, I was one of the first people on streaming Netflix back on the Xbox 360 when they had shit for movies, but it was all really fun to watch because it was this new fun thing that nobody else was doing. $8 a month.
I remember giving you shit for it because there wasn't anything good to watch.
Yep. But $8 a month. I vividly remember paying $8 a month and thinking that is a hell of a deal. And I can sit here and watch mostly movies that nobody had ever heard of, but that was kind of my thing anyway. So,
Well, and again, I don't think the main issue here is their pricing structure, prices in general. The biggest issue that I think we have here is the control, owning what you want to watch, owning the entertainment that you have or that you have access to. Because you could pay for Netflix, you could pay $14 a month or even $23 a month. And that's the price of really what like a 4K movie is now. Like 4K movies have gotten cheaper. I think the Nightmare Before Christmas one, I bought it brand new and it was like it was under $25. Yeah. And so
that's the thing is, if I'm willing to give you $25 a month for a movie. I
Right.
am effectively buying the right for you to fuck off, let me own it, and not
Right.
shove a bunch of commercials down my throat. So
Right.
even though they all have ads in front of them, and
Right.
I'm sorry, previews, which are just ads for movies. So I agree with what you're saying on one hand, where it's like, I don't necessarily have a problem with 4 minutes per hour, because 4 minutes is like a regular ad break on cable. So, and that happens what, like 3 to 4 times an hour?
Well, yeah, because like if you go back, and especially if you watch like the old 90s shows, like they were a half-hour block, but the episodes were like 20 to 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Which means, you know, you got 8 minutes
per half hour.
So that's what?
You're right. No, you're right. I didn't do that math.
That's a little over a sixth of the episode is commercials.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, I don't have an issue with that. My biggest issue is I'm paying for something that I don't have any control of, that I don't know if it's going to be there from day to day. And B, I'm paying for something that even though it says 4K HDR, it's not.
Well, and in 2013,
that's the problem that I have.
Netflix released the 4K 4-screen premium thing for $12 a month, which is, you know, not that bad. And then in 2019, the HD 2-screen plan jumped up to $13 a month. And now the HD plan is $15.50 a month. The 4K plan is $23 a month. And this new ad thing's not even on here. And the basic plan is $12 a month now. And so I feel like, I just feel like this is going to continue to happen. They're going to push this. This is just like Disney. They're going to push this as far as they can and make price increases an annual thing, and so that it becomes more normal until we're all paying goddamn $50 a month for fucking Netflix. And it's the only way that they can afford Friends and Seinfeld. Like,
and all of a sudden, LimeWire makes a comeback.
So all of this is to say, Best Buy has stopped selling DVDs and physical media. And this is from Forbes right here. It says Best Buy to stop DVD sales and what that means for physical media. I want to read just a little bit of their statement here. Best Buy said, to state the obvious, the way we watch movies and TV shows is much different today than it was decades ago. Making this change gives us more space and opportunity to bring customers new and inventive tech for them to explore, discover, and enjoy. When was the last time you were in a Best Buy, Brett?
This week, actually.
A large chunk of their floor plan is just Ring cameras and vacuums. And like
the entire, in fact, when you walk in from wall to wall, or not wall to wall, but like the TVs are along this wall, the appliances are along this wall, and from that end to this end, it's phones and security cameras.
Yep. So I don't understand what we're making room for. Now, granted, they're probably spending a lot of money buying these things, and especially the thing that really bums me out is they did a lot of exclusive steelbooks that they would release, and those are just going away now. So that's the thing that really pisses me off. But
I think it's possible that the people going to Best Buy aren't going there for movies in the first place. I think most people going to Best Buy are going there for home electronics and stuff like that. They must be going there for computer stuff too, because their computer selection has also expanded over recent years. I think a big part of this is that people aren't going to Best Buy to buy movies, which is really unfortunate because they have some really cool exclusive steelbooks.
Yep.
But again, I don't think they push movies. I don't think that that's really their bread and butter. And so the concern I have is that not that Best Buy isn't selling them anymore. It's what does this mean for the industry overall? I will say there are several online stores like Grove.com is actually owned by Universal Studios, and that is a place where you can go and buy physical media online.
Go to Diabolic DVD and several others. Buy small. Do not support these fucking big companies that are just raking in money by not. Okay, I'm not going to get on that tangent, but the dude that runs fine. Diabolic DVD seems like a genuinely good guy. There are a bunch of other smaller stores like that are run by small teams. So if you're going to continue to buy boutique shit like Scream Factory and Arrow and Vestron and Blue Underground and all the other shit, buy them from places like Diabolic DVD. So
we actually need to put some of those in the description for the episode, simply because the ones that are the easiest to access, Grub.com and Zavi are great examples. Grub.com is owned by Universal. Zavi is owned by the guy that owns what was it, Richard Branson or whatever, who owns Virgin. You have a lot of big, my point though is that you do have big companies that have online stores specifically for physical media.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that this isn't the death of physical media. It's just physical media dying at big box stores, like brick and mortar stores. But I'm not a big enough optimist to think that that's what's happening here.
I mean, and I said this 2.5 years ago in the Dear Blu-ray and DVD collectors video. This is headed the direction of vinyl. And to be fair, vinyl has made a comeback in big box stores.
Yep.
It's a really, really small selection, and it's always like the Beatles and Nirvana and like the most like whack shit you don't want to buy anyway.
Well, no, there's a lot of new artists releasing vinyl too.
Okay, fair enough. But my point is they're really small selections, but my overall point is with Blu-rays, this shit is going to become boutique only because it's not going to be in the best interest of places like Universal and Disney and all that other shit to continue to sell this stuff. So I think Disney just announced a week or two ago. This is from the end of July. Disney discontinues physical media releases for an entire continent. So they essentially came out and said, we're not doing this in Australia anymore. We're just not going to do it anymore.
Australia is not what I expected you to say, because Australia has a pretty big film industry.
It looks like the end of an era for Australia, at least. Disney has decided to cease the sale of DVDs and Blu-rays in Australia. The final DVD and Blu-ray release for the country will be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And that's it.
See,
to be fair, it's one of the better Guardians movies, but regardless.
I just, like I said, my biggest concern here is what this means or what this indicates for the industry as a whole. But going back to what you were talking about with vinyl, the thing that's always kept vinyl from completely dying off is the idea,
quality.
Opinion, the perspective that it's higher quality than streaming music, CDs, tapes, 8 tracks just going all the way back.
You know what vinyl has over this, though?
I think that's what's going to keep physical media from dying off completely.
Yeah, for sure. This is going for hardcore collectors only now. People that want to hunt them down.
My biggest issue with this is there are movies out there that I have always wanted to see get a 4K remaster. The Last Samurai is the top of my list of ones that I wish would get a 4K remaster, or at least a more updated Blu-ray release. And with stuff like this, it makes me think that we're less likely, if just absolutely not going to see something like that.
I mean, the thing is let me get this thought out before I forget it. The thing that vinyl has over physical media is that vinyl was around for decades and decades. And disc-based things have only been 20 plus years, 25 years, maybe.
Maybe like 40.
If we go,
CDs came out in the 80s.
No, I'm talking about DVDs and up. I'm not talking about CDs.
Vinyl.
No, I'm comparing it to vinyl because vinyl had multiple decades where it was master and king before the tape came out, before the CD came out, all that shit.
Right.
And Blu-rays and DVDs have only really been around since 98? And so there's not this massive surplus of used stuff. There is, but not nearly anywhere compared to vinyl and shit like that. So if we compare the leftover stuff that the used market is going to get in the next 10 years, it's still minuscule compared to what the used market of vinyl is, because many people were collecting vinyl.
Honestly, I think vinyl is a really, really good comparison, because like with 4K, with vinyl, you really need to invest in other things to get the most out of vinyl.
Yeah.
I mean, it does, objectively have or subjectively have better quality to it. But in order to get the most out of vinyl, you really do need to invest in other parts of the sound system. 4K is the same way. And I think that's the other reason why a lot of people don't want to or don't care about it, investing in 4K and having 4K movies, because to get the most out of 4K, you can't just have a 4K TV. You have to have the 4K player. And in order to get the most out of that, you really need to have, not the highest quality, but a high quality, HDMI cable and stuff like that. So, I mean, I do see why people don't care or don't want to get invested in 4K. But as somebody who is invested, as somebody who is in that ecosystem, it's really upsetting to have a big source of movies go away. I mean, Best Buy.
I mean, even with the players, though, like there's only like 2 or 3 companies still even making the 4K players. So like,
I mean, there's a few companies making them, but the ones that are any good, it's basically what Sony and Panasonic, I think Sanyo makes them too.
Samsung came out, what was that? That was probably like 3 or 4 years ago at this point. And so we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
We're not making 4Ks anymore. 4K players. And I just feel like I just feel like this is one of the reasons I never got nearly as invested in collecting 4K physical media as I did Blu-rays. Because when I was collecting Blu-rays, it felt like this is the thing that is going to last for a while. And a lot of Blu-rays still hold up great, but the 4K thing, I never got nearly as invested in it because I felt like this was coming. And again, I'm not fucking Nostradamus over here. I had that feeling when it happened, like this is the last time we're doing this physical media shit. We're not going to get 8K discs. We're not going to get 16K discs. This is it.
That's actually what you just said is exactly the next point I was gonna bring up. If you go to streaming, 4K is the ceiling. Like we're not going to get past
for now.
We're not get
unless somebody comes.
Time.
Yeah, but unless some in theory somebody could come up with a compressed version of some shit that could.
Right, but again,
but for now, yeah.
My point is like the. I don't know enough as far as that goes. As far as what it would require to get 8K to stream. What I do know is I feel like the infrastructure needed to make 8K a viable streaming option is far more complicated than what it would take for physical media to start seeing physical media in 8K.
I mean, you can set it up so that people can watch it, and you can even put it out there. Like YouTube has 8K options on some videos. I don't know who the hell can stream it. Like even with like we both have really good internet, and just today I was trying to watch an hour-long podcast that was in 4K and I couldn't.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying is it's not like the internet itself. Like even if your internet provider can give you fast enough speeds to stream 4K, it's still also predicated on where you live, on how many other people are, using the internet. Like you live in fucking Orlando, or can I say that?
Yeah.
Okay. You live in Orlando, like that's a highly congested area.
Yeah.
Even here in Colorado Springs, we see dips and bottlenecking on the internet at certain times in the day, mostly in the evenings. And so that's what I'm saying. Like to really make 8K a viable option, I feel like just requires more. But again, this is purely speculation, by the way. So don't come at me in the comments. But it's just, it's one of those things where I really feel like 4K is going to be the limit, because 8K is one of those things where like, not only is it not a viable option right now, and I just don't see it being one for a while as far as streaming goes. Yeah, I just do. I think 4K. I think that's the glass ceiling. For a while, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Have
at
you
least
seen what 8K
for the foreseeable
TVs cost?
future. The last one I saw, which was at a Best Buy, was like $17,000 or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It was crazy. Like it was like a 95-inch television, but
right.
But it was like almost 20 grand. So
So
I don't have an interest in putting that much money into a television that's gonna become obsolete regardless of, you know.
No.
It's, and even if it is 8K and that lasts for 10 years, that's going to be, it's like my 4K TV. I bought 4K right before UHD TVs came out. And so I don't have UHD, but it's 4K. And so it's like the bottom tier 4K TV that you can buy, but it's still a 4K TV, but it's obsolete because it doesn't have fucking UHD. So I can't watch any of the 4K discs that I do have. I can't watch them in UHD. So this is the kind of shit I'm talking about, though, where it's too fucking complicated. People don't give a shit when they could just pay Netflix $23 a month and hit play on their 4K TV out of the Netflix app that's built into the television. And who cares if it's blocky? Who cares if it's compressed? Who cares if the audio is not as good? No one gives a shit other than people like us. So this is why it's so frustrating, is because people like us actually give a fuck. And if you're watching this, I guarantee you care too, because everyone else moved on with their fucking lives last week. And people like us were like, wait a minute, this is a really big deal. Why is no one talking about this? This got a day's worth of coverage and then the whole world moved on. And then we're back here with our fucking obsolete ass Blu-rays going, I'm not okay with this. Now, luckily for you, you have a place in Colorado Springs that will, in theory, as long as it's open, be able to infinitely supply you with Blu-rays, DVDs, and 4K.
Yeah. Well, I don't
have a place like that around here. So,
well, there's actually a couple different places here that have really good physical media selections. But again,
I used to make that like a weekend thing. Like we used to go out like up to Denver and shit and just go to like 8 different places in one day and shit. So
and that's the other aspect of this is if we stop getting them in brick and mortars, we got to start going online. And there's actually, at least for me, and this is even more niche than just caring about physical media, but an even more niche thing is going out and buying the movies is also an experience in of itself. Especially if you're like movie hunting.
I collect less. Because ever since I moved to Florida from Colorado Springs, I collect less now because there's not a place like Entertain Mart where I can just go in there and spend an hour and a half and find all sorts of cool shit. I found the Dead Alive out of print DVD for $3 there. That sells for like $60. Like, this is the kind of shit I'm talking about, where it's like, this is the stuff that dies whenever no one gives a fuck about physical media. And these brick and mortar stores that specialize in physical media, movies specifically, they're going to die at some point too. It's only a matter of time because the people that give a fuck about physical media are dwindling. And so it's like, I don't buy nearly as much as I used to because there's not brick and mortar stores for me to go out and movie hunt like that anymore. So if I'm not buying nearly as much, think of the people that don't collect. Think of how much they're buying. They're not. What
do you think what do you think it's going to take for people to realize the value in buying physical media? Because there is value in it past just the quality. As we said, the biggest value I see in owning movies is owning the movie.
It's yours. Yeah.
And that's what I'm wondering is there going to come a point where we just see this mass exodus of movies from these streaming services to make room for the other ones, and then people start finally going, and then we start flipping over, where like with vinyl starts making a comeback?
I don't see that happening at all. Let's think about it. You and I buy off Steam and Epic and all that stuff for games. We use, so we don't own our games. We use Spotify to listen to music. We don't own our music. We now use streaming services mostly to watch movies. We don't own our movies. This shit is done. They don't want us to own this stuff anymore. They have figured out that if they make it a subscription-based platform that they can suck money out of you on a monthly basis, they will get more money out of you in the long run than if you're buying a Lion King Blu-ray here and, a Videodrome Blu-ray there. Like,
Wow, it's super dystopian.
So yes, and it is, but that we're already living in that world. Over
Right.
a year ago, you and I said our Blu-rays and DVDs die. Yes, they're fucking dead.
Yep.
And to everyone other than people like us and the people watching this, no one cares beyond hardcore collectors. And so your question is, what is it going to take for people to see the value in owning? They don't care. And that is a super pessimistic way to look at this, but no one gives a shit because it is convenience over owning it. And people are willing to give up the ownership for the convenience.
I think a lot of people watch movies not for an experience, but for entertainment. And there's a very big difference there, because when you watch a movie for an experience and you get an experience out of it, you want to come back to it over and over again. When you're watching something for entertainment and only for entertainment, it doesn't matter if it's there when you want to come back to it. You can just find something else that's kind of in that same genre. And I think that's another big part of it, because so many movies now that are like mainstream movies are just as Martin Scorsese put it about Marvel movies, they're roller coaster rides. You enjoy them for a short period of time, and then you move on to the next one.
So here's something you're going to absolutely love on that same note.
Oh, goody.
Last weekend, Nicole and I went to go see The Creator. And when we walked in, there were all these people super dressed up, and they were all like middle-aged women and like from like, from like 18 to like 35. All women, all super dressed up. We were like, what the fuck is going on? Do you know what happened last weekend as far as in theaters go? I don't know how plugged in you are to this whole world.
No.
Taylor Swift released a theater-based, it was like, I don't know if it was a concert or what the fuck it was, right?
It was a concert movie.
Okay, so this is where we're at with theaters. Theaters are re-releasing House of a Thousand Corpses, and I recently saw X in the theater. They re-released Hocus Pocus for its 30th anniversary. We're re-releasing movies in theaters, because people are on strike and nobody wants to put out a fucking movie with all these people, with all these actors on strike and stuff, because they can't do.
The actors are still
the writers. Strike. The writers got figured out, but the actors are all still on strike. And B, it's cheaper for them to just recycle old fucking movies and put them into theater. So here's something that's really going to piss you off. The Eras Tour added as much as 33 million in international markets, according to AMC estimates, for a global total of 126 million to 130 million dollars off this Taylor Swift movie.
And that's what it comes down to. It comes down to how much money can we make.
Yep.
I really, really hate to sound pretentious, but the art of film is so lost at this point. We get it every now and then. I'm not saying it's gone completely, but I blame Marvel.
Well, this goes back to what you were just saying.
Marvel movies.
Most people don't look at this as an experience anymore because it's so normal for people to be able to just put some shit on their 90-inch TV at home in their surround sound and then just flip through Instagram while it's background noise. And people don't care anymore.
To me. That happened in a theater. A dude in front of me was just scrolling through Facebook while the movie was playing, and I finally lost it and said something to him. Because it blew my mind that you would spend the money to go watch a movie, and then it's like you said, it's just background noise. I get it at home. I get that. But when you're paying to go see it in a theater and other people are around you, like that blew my mind. But other than, just the sheer aspect of being rude, it was unbelievable to me that there's this movie right there and you're not even paying attention to it. And again, it's because it's entertainment. It's not an experience. It's not, there's nothing for you to gain from it from an artistic sense. Thank God those movies are still being made. We just don't get them in the theaters as much as we should.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that like we grew up going to, are not big enough movies anymore, and they don't make enough money for them to justify. Like, for instance, when we saw The Creator at the beginning, we saw the trailer for that new Onks, the whatever the fuck it is. What the fuck is that guy's name? The I don't know, that guy. The Arby's guy. I don't know, the meme guy. Onks the Destroyer or something. Onks the Fortuitous. So he has it's a meme, and it's this. You'll know it if I pull up. Hopefully you'll know it. I don't know. You don't spend that much time on the internet, so this guy.
No. Hang on, let me make that bigger.
The Arby's guy.
No, I don't know him.
You have no idea? Okay.
No, but I've limited my internet usage quite a bit recently.
Okay, so he has this movie coming out, and it is called Onks the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls. Right? And Nicole and I both looked at each other after seeing the trailer and were like, I'd see that one day. It came out in theaters for one day. That's it. And this is like a lower budget. He has mass appeal because of the internet. He has a built-in audience. One day. This is the thing, is like, it's not a Marvel movie. It's not it's not this big huge thing that has a ton of fucking money behind it, so they can't afford to put it in theaters for longer than that, I would assume. I don't know the actual background on this. If you know the background to this whole story, please let me know down in the comments. But like, this is the kind of stuff. This is a low budget comedy that like when we were growing up probably would have done pretty fucking good. But because it's not a fucking roller coaster, it doesn't have the budget to be able to be in thousands of theaters and get the chance to become a cult movie. It'll go on in streaming and become massively big. Bloody Disgusting said this is a cult movie in the making. So I am interested to see this movie, but like, this is the kind of shit. Jeffrey Combs is in it too, by the way. This is the kind of shit that we lose in the theater, and that's kind of experience when dude, I saw videos of that fucking Taylor Swift movie. People down in front of the seats, like that little runway in front of the seats at the very bottom, like crowded, singing, jumping around, doing the whole fucking thing. That you can hear that in the theaters next to it. You just know you can. And the fucking theater I go to has two of the biggest rooms I have ever seen movies in. Both of them at the same time were sold out. Both of them at the same time. So it was the most crowded I have ever seen that theater since the 2 years I've been going to it. Dude, it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy that this is the stuff the AMC has to, but this is why I pay for a fucking membership to AMC. This is why I'll go see stuff like The Retirement Plan with Nicolas Cage and Landscape with Invisible Hand. These are lower budget movies that need the fucking help. And if we do not support this shit, it's the same way with Blu-rays and DVDs. If we don't support the fucking boutique labels that are putting this stuff out, if we don't support the theaters where we can actually go and see good horror and all the stuff, regardless of the budget, we lose it. And support it now, because if you actually enjoy this shit, the generations below us don't care. They don't care. And they're not going to go to a theater unless it's some shit like Taylor Swift to go see it, to all the Swifties getting together and getting all dressed up. You lose this shit if you don't support it.
And I want to be clear, like, this is not an indictment of the generations after us, simply because that's the entertainment world they've been provided.
That's fair.
That they were born into. I do think because they're not the ones complaining about the quality of films that we're getting. The people that are complaining
because they don't know any better.
Because they don't know any better. But again, that is not an indictment of them. This really comes down to, regardless of what generation you're in, regardless of like who you are, if this is something you care about, this is the beginning of the snowball, but it can still be caught before it gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
And I wish I was that optimistic.
Well, it's not a matter of
I think
optimism.
the beginning of that snowball was 3.5, 4 years ago, and we're just now starting to see the fallout from it.
But what I'm saying is this is not like the end point or the point of no return. Like there's still an opportunity here to show people that physical media is something that we still want. But again, I don't know the numbers of other stores that are selling physical media.
I think the problem with that, though, is that companies that are not Scream Factory and Arrow and a handful of others, the lower tier boutique labels, it's going to be harder and harder and more expensive for them to print this shit because that technology is going away. And the demand for it is getting lower and lower and lower. So what's going to happen is this shit is going to become like drops, and it's already started. This has already started to be a thing. We have this many copies. Whoever fucking pre-orders it first gets it, and that's fucking it. And anybody else that wants it gets to get it on the secondhand market where the fucking price is going to shoot way the fuck up because it's out of print, and the people that have it, and the people that don't want it. And all these hardcore collectors are going to be are basically going to be hype beasts, where they're standing in a theoretical line for 4.5 hours to get the newest copy of whatever the fuck. So this is going to be an issue. Supply and demand is a very real thing, especially when it comes to physical discs like this. They're only going to be able to afford to put out so many, and there are only so many collectors in the world that want it. And so all of this shit is going to continue to dwindle, and it's going to become more and more rare, more and more expensive, and the whole fucking ecosystem is going to fall the fuck apart, especially when no one but China is making these players. So this is the fucking problem. And when I say support this shit while it's here, support this shit while it's here for real, because very soon this is going to become completely outdated, and no one's going to want to fucking do it because the prices are going to be so fucking high, other than the million people that can afford to buy $50 Blu-rays or $60 4Ks or whatever the fuck it is. So I don't know. You got anything else to say about this? Because that's about all I got. No.
I think we've pretty much covered all the issues that we have with it and more. Honestly, I think this is a little longer than we were intending it to be, but this is something that is really near and dear to us and is a major issue. Maybe not comparatively speaking to everything else going on, but this is a major issue, and now we are seeing the real world ramifications of what you and I have been talking about for quite a while now.
Years at this point. Yep.
With that said, I would like to plug my movie that's coming out on streaming.
Okay, go ahead.
The movie I worked on, Rival, is coming out on Amazon Prime, I believe, early next year. Please go check it out. Cool. I had a lot of fun working on that one, so go check it out.
And we will be sure to, whenever that does come out, we'll do a whole thing on it, I'm sure. So,
cool. I've got a lot to say about it.
I know a lot of you have a lot of problems with the shit we just said. And if you do, you're probably one of the people with your fucking head in the sand. And you're not looking around at the world around you. If you think that boutique labels can survive indefinitely off the hardcore collectors when it is going to become more expensive to produce these things, you are living in a fucking dream world. Support this stuff while you can, collect it while you can, rip it into your computer while you can, before they make that so fucking illegal and disk drives aren't even available to be able to do that shit. Do it now, because this shit is going to disappear.
Just remember, just because you can't tell the difference doesn't mean there isn't a difference.
They fucking meant that. The amount of comments that we got with, I can't tell the difference between streaming, blah, 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 on that last video was mind-blowing. It's like, dude, you don't have eyeballs?
Nope.
Fuck.
Nope. They're all very blurry eyeballs. They basically, because, Bigfoot's blurry, so they just have Bigfoot's eyeballs.
So if you did enjoy this, hit the subscribe button, because this is the kind of shit we're all about. We really appreciate any of the love that the videos that we've been getting while we've been on hiatus have gotten. It's been super cool to see the reaction to that last video that we made about this. People are super passionate about this, even if it is in the wrong direction sometimes. And that is very cool. And as a community, it is up to us to keep talking about this stuff, to support these boutique labels and the smaller indie storefronts that provide them. This shit is important if you love film as an art form and you don't just fucking want to see Guardians fucking 18, then fucking support this stuff while it's here. Because if you don't fucking vote with your money and support, all this shit goes away. So
100%.
Thank you guys for watching so much. If you like this, make sure you hit the like button. If you really liked it, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we got a lot more content like this on this channel. If you got to the end of this, you're a hero. And even if you downvote this, I don't care. Thank you for getting all the way to the end of this. And we will see you guys next time for Run the Deep. Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.
Fuckers, fuckos, butt munches.
No. Cut it.
Fucking